Captain Marvel. I'm just going to be really quick. There will be spoilers in this, so if you don't want to be spoiled, get on out. But I'm just going to go over very quickly. Not going to be a long video. I'm just going to give you my thoughts, the things I did and didn't like, and then a grade. And then get you out of here because you got to see this movie. Overall, did I like it? Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was terrible. I don't think this is the worst MCU movie ever. I heard a lot of people say it was chock full of feminists, feminazi, whatever they're saying. I mean, I guess you could say that. I mean, but it's a female lead, so it's kind of hard to, I guess, not have that kind of look to it. It's not like she was walking around town like, I'm better than you because I'm a woman. Haha. It was just, I mean, there were some things in there, like one of her memories is a guy, because she was in the Air Force in her Earth life, as another pilot saying like, you'll never be a pilot. You're a woman. Why do you think they call it a cockpit? Because obviously it's only for men. There's things like that in there, but I don't think that's anything too crazy, because I mean, in the 90s, 89 through 95, I can imagine a woman getting harassed, those kind of jokes being thrown at her by stupid, ignorant dudes. I could see that. I mean, that shit still happens today in 2019. Then we're talking about 95, 89 through 95. Like, come on. The things I liked. The visual of it looked good. I liked the visual. They weren't groundbreaking or anything, which is kind of shocking coming from Disney Marvel. But when, like in the trailer where she goes like full Super Saiyan, her eyes are glowing, and she gets that full helmet on in her Captain Marvel uniform, and she's flying around, just zoop, 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 and she's just photon blasting people in space. As a comic book fan, forget who's playing who, forget what's going on. Just as a comic book fan, you love it because it just looks, it's a comic book come to life, and you just like, you get, wow, that's so amazing looking. Like, all these years I've been reading it on paper, and now I'm seeing it in motion. Which is why I love the Flash CW show. I'm a big Flash guy. I love the Flash. He's my favorite superhero. So when I see the Flash brought to life, and I can watch it on TV, and he's moving instead of just reading on a page, it's like, you get that like sense of awe again, like you're a kid. And then when she's flying around space with the helmet on, eyes glowing, she's just blasting people, you get that like sense of awe, like, wow, like they doing it. This is crazy. And it looks cool. It's definitely a cool movie. It could definitely looked a lot better. It could have been a lot worse. Like some of the early trailers when her mask was on the seat, because that's all CGI. Her flying around space and things like that. Like nothing of that's practical. So in the early trailers, her mask and her face, the CGI didn't match up, and it looked really bad. But it looks a lot better in the finished product, obviously. She, in one of the early trailer reactions, I said that she looks like a dollar store. Her and Shazam both look like dollar store Power Rangers. I still stick by that. I think even though it's touched up CGI with her flying around, it still looks not believable. It's not practical. Like even though everything's CGI now, like the Hulk, I mean, no one looks at the Hulk and go, oh, that's real. But there's still a look to it where you can suspend your disbelief while looking at like the Hulk or something like that. In this case, it's kind of hard to do that because it's not great. It's good CGI, but it's not great. So it's kind of really hard to, when you see it up close, you're like, not the greatest, but it's still cool. Looking with all the colors floating around her hair's all up, her eyes are glowing. It looks fantastic. They brought the superhero to life in the visual aspects. The comedy in this movie is a lot better than other movies like Ragnarok or Guardians 2. Where in those movies it was literally like a joke every minute and a half. These jokes felt more natural, more in the moment than just saying a joke to say a joke. Where Ragnarok, they threw jokes in for no reason. Guardians for no reason. Guardians had that the fruit's not ripe joke that went on for like 3-4 minutes of other different people saying it back. They're like, we get it, it's not right. Jesus, like you know what I'm saying? Like in this movie, it felt organic. It felt natural. in the scheme of things than just like, oh, well, it's been a minute and a half. Joke. Oh, 2 minutes gonna go by. Joke. And no, it just feels like when there's a beat, there should be a joke there, and there is, and it's cool. It's nothing too crazy. It's not gonna make you burst out laughing, but you get a little smile, chuckle, and you might get a little out loud laugh. The comedy's good. The visuals are good. The story is good. It's basically a fish out of water, where she was already from Earth, got Kree powers, left Earth, lived on Kree planet Hala, has come back to Earth, found the Skrulls, because the Skrulls are looking for Wendy Lawson's engine, the Lightspeed engine, and then but through her whole life, through her last 6 years, she's having these bits and pieces of memories come back in dreams, and it's just, she's trying to piece it together while trying to stop the Skrulls, while trying to find Wendy Lawson, and then it all finally gets pieced together as the movie goes along, and it does a really good job of letting us in the audience kind of like, oh, okay, that makes sense, and we're piecing together as she's piecing together, so that's kind of cool. It's not like they say something and they never touch it again. They touch it throughout the whole movie. Whenever there's like, they didn't have anything to do, they kind of just went back to the memories and piecing them more together, and then by the end you get the full picture of what happened to her. I like the story. I liked the song choices. The soundtrack is good. There was weird moments with the soundtrack, like when she's like whooping everyone's ass, and the song choice they put behind her was "I'm Just a Girl" by No Doubt. I mean, dope song, but it didn't fit the scene. It was just like they chose that because, well, she's a girl who's kicking ass, and so what better song to put behind her than "I'm Just a Girl" by No Doubt. A lot of female-led bands songs were in this, like bands like Garbage, like No Doubt, things like that, which is cool. I mean, I'm a fan of all that music, so that didn't bother me. I expected it from a female-led movie in the 90s. Here's some negatives. Oh, sorry, one more positive. The cat, Goose. Whoa. If you read the comics of Captain Marvel, you already know what the cat is and what the cat's going to do in this movie. If you've never read the comics and you've never heard of a Flerken, brace yourself. You're about to see this cat do some shit that you probably never thought in a million years what he would do. So just keep it open mind. Remember, it's a comic book movie. I had the same discussion when people were like bashing on Aquaman because they had a octopus playing drums. I'm like, yeah, it's a comic book movie that takes place under the water in the ocean. If there wasn't an octopus playing drums, I'd be pissed. So just get ready for Goose the cat. Now, in the comics, the cat's name was actually Chewie, but whatever, Goose it is. I think Goose fits better because she was an Air Force pilot, so it's kind of along with that Top Gun, a wink and a nod. Now, the things I didn't like. It didn't feel 90s. Just because you have some troll dolls and because she crashed through a Blockbuster roof does not make it 90s. It didn't feel 90s. It looked like someone who was never around in the 90s made a movie based in the 90s based off what their parents told them, than what they remember the 90s to be in. And they just took certain elements and were like, okay, this has to be here, this has to be here. It felt like 2019 and you're going to like a resort that's like a cruise, and the cruise is like a 90s throwback, and like you're like, here's everyone's troll doll. Like it's 90s, but it's not 90s. It's just some of the most popular things at the time. Like you see troll dolls, Blockbuster obviously, and then like Danvers' best friend, Monica Rambeau, her daughter, at one point in the movie says, like, what, you're not going to go in space? You're going to sit here and watch Fresh Prince with me? It's like, oh, Fresh Prince, big show in the 90s. But, I mean, that's not, there's a lot more to the 90s than just that. I mean, flat tops. Can I have some brothers rocking some flat tops? Can I get Pogs? Let me stop before I go on for an hour and a half about the 90s. It didn't feel like the 90s. It felt like I said, it felt like someone who's like 20 now making a movie set in the 90s based on what their mom and dad told them. 90s stuff in it didn't feel 90s, so the time period was already kind of like wonky. It didn't feel right. I didn't like Brie Larson in the role. That's going to be unpopular, as I say, but I'm just being honest and real. She was very robotic, very like just it felt like a cyborg, and the lines were just punched in on a keyboard into her database, and she was just spitting them out. She didn't have a lot of really long dialogue. Like there was parts where like Jude Law would have a paragraph, and he's like, in your face intense, and then like she blasts him and just says like, I don't gotta prove nothing to you. And that's it, just a sentence. And she delivered it just like I just did. Like, I don't have to prove nothing to you. Like, no like badass is that a word? Behind it. It's just very bland, very I'm just here to say the lines. The visual of Captain Marvel was brought to life. The character of Captain Marvel was not brought to life. It was very mundane, very blah, very monotone, very just. She sounded like an actress reading lines on a script, and it didn't feel natural. It wasn't like, oh, she's an actual person who said these actual things. It's like, no, this is an actress playing a role, and she's like kind of like 50-50 on it. She's kind of giving her all, and she's kind of not. Samuel L. Jackson, the Nick Fury in this movie, was very watered down, very more upbeat, more bright, more jokey, not his spy self, not his like, we gotta talk, and then just stoic. It's just, no, he was joking, he was laughing, he was singing. Some people have problems with it, some people don't. I think it fit the movie because even though he was already in the war, he was already a spy, he was already a high-ranking official in the SHIELD. It was before he saw the shit he saw, in short. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that. Coulson in this movie had shit to do. There was literally one scene where Captain Marvel and Nick Fury are running from SHIELD because the Skrulls have infiltrated SHIELD, and they're posing as SHIELD members, and they're trying to get them to caught because the Skrulls want to find the engine, and they know that Captain Marvel or Carol Danvers has it in her head, and they can unlock it. And there's one point where Coulson sees Danvers and Fury, and he points a gun at them, and he looks at them both, and he's just like, and he lets them go. And that was just put in there, so because we know obviously later on in Avengers and in the TV show, Coulson becomes a high-ranking official as well. He becomes the director of SHIELD. When Nick Fury's got to pull back into the shadows. So I think that was just placed there just to like go, that's why he got that promotion. Like that type of thing. It really wasn't needed. Like you could take out all the parts with Coulson and still have the same movie. He was just there because it's the 90s and someone, he's the understudy of Nick Fury, and because eventually he becomes the director of SHIELD and, yada yada. But it was just kind of like he had shit all to do. And I was not upset, but I was like, I wish I saw more from Coulson. The pacing, the editing, and the sound quality of this film, unless it was just the theater I was in, was bad. There's an emotional scene between Danvers and her friend Rambo. And in my theater, I don't say it might have been a sound system. I'm seeing it again Sunday, so I'll see. But to the left speakers had the dramatic music in this emotional scene, and the right was like her pout, because she was like her fist were bald, she was upset, and like her like hands were glowing. And there's like that sound you get when her hands are glowing. So it was like literally like you hear what Rambo's saying to her, trying to convince her to do what's right, but the music's on the left speaker and her sound effects on the right speaker, and you're just like, you get lost in this weird sound mixture of just white noise. Like it's just like, what is he saying? Like, is this supposed to be emotional? Like, I hear music, but like, what is that sound? And it took you completely out of the scene. So I'm hoping it was just the theater I was in. Like I said, I'm seeing it Sunday, so hopefully I will be able to tell. But from as far as I know, that's how it was made. I know these are indie filmmakers, so maybe that's all not up to par, but I hope not. I hope it was just my theater. But if it wasn't, then the editing, sound mix, and all, that's like a F. It was bad. I was going to make them separate points, but I just bunched those together. They're kind of the same. The editing of the film, the pacing of the film, and the sound quality, of the sound effects, and it was just all that mixing and editing of the movie and sound was just bad in my experience. Like I said, I can blame it on the theater when I go see it again Sunday, but right now, I only saw it once, all that was bad. A lot of people, when they announced Captain Marvel, they said, well, where has she been? Why is she so important to the Avengers and Thanos and all that stuff? So they decided to tie her into everything. So, in this movie, we see Nick Fury. We see how he loses his eye. Spoiler alert, Goose the cat scratched his eye. And that's why again, that's lazy writing to me. It feels like they just threw that in there because, well, Nick's got to lose his eye somehow, and, well, this is how we do it. Even though in the comics, he lost it during the war. But why do that? Screw it. Let's just have the cat Goose scratch it out. So at the very end of the movie, the last scene of the movie, Coulson brings in a box of glass eyes to Nick Fury. And Coulson tells Fury they haven't found the Tesseract. Spoiler alert, the Tesseract is inside Goose. He swallowed it because he's a Flerken. And inside Flerken's mouths are pocket dimensions where he can fit pretty much anything he wants in there. So the cat swallowed the Tesseract, and it's safe now. Fury knows that. Coulson doesn't, so he just has Coulson running around looking for the Tesseract, which he'll never find because it's in the cat. So Coulson gets dismissed from Fury's office, and Fury is writing up the Protector Initiative, which we know it as the Avenger Initiative, but it's called, at this moment in time, it's called the Protector Initiative. And he looks at a picture of Danvers, Captain Marvel, before the accident, before she goes to the Kree planet, before she gets the powers of what will be Captain Marvel, and she's climbing into her jet in the Air Force, and on the side of her plane it says her name with her nickname. So it's like a UFC thing where it's like first name, nickname, last name. So this is her name in full on the side of her jet. Her name is Carol Avenger Danvers. He looks at the word Avenger, erases Protector from the Protector Initiative, and writes in Avenger. And then the movie ends. So, the reason why they're making her so important to everything is because she's the reason why Nick Fury calls the Avengers, because her nickname in the Air Force was Avenger. So technically, she's the first Avenger, and we need to rewrite Captain America's The First Avenger, that whole title, to just being Captain America, Man Frozen in Time, because technically now with this movie, she's the first Avenger. Lazy writing. They didn't want to come up with a better explanation of where she's been, why Nick Fury has known about her since 95, why Nick Fury's never talked about her until now. Well, not really talked about her, but he pays her before he got dusted. But for all these years, for over 20-some years, he's known that Danvers is out there, Captain Marvel is out there with this type of power, and didn't say nothing about her. So then the movie makers, these filmmakers, these writers had to come up with an excuse of why. And the excuse of why she's important and why she'll fit into the Avengers. And it's because technically she's the first Avenger. And technically she's the whole reason why. She left at the movie, and Fury tells Coulson, we need to put together a team like her, a team of heroes. So she is the sole purpose behind Nick Fury getting the Avengers together. She's the sole reasoning why they're called the Avengers, because Avenger was her nickname in the Air Force. And that is a big negative for me, because it's just lazy. Like, here's a new character. You could have made her backstory. You could have made her reasoning why she's so important. Like, anything. There was nothing. All these movies are not directly based on the comics. They're just, the only thing that's really based on the comics is the character's name and the character's likeness. Other than that, these stories they're telling are not directly ripped from the comics. Every now and again, you'll get close or almost identical, like, of a panel in the movie, but you're not, these movies that we have, you're not going to find them really page for page in the comics. So you can do whatever you want. You have that liberty, and you go the cheapest, laziest way. And it really bugged me, because you could have made her be able to stand on her own 2 feet and not be linked to anything. But like, now you made her the cat. Like, she's the reason why the Avengers are a thing. She's the reason why they're called the Avengers, and it's just lazy to me. But that's my biggest negative to the movie. But with all that said, my overall grade of this movie is a C+. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's terrible. I think if you don't know anything about the comic book, you can go and have fun. There's a lot of good jokes, a lot of good visuals, a lot of good songs, and some 90s throwbacks you can nostalgia over. If you're a true comic book person, you know the panels, panel for panel, you probably won't like this as much. You'll come out of it like probably about like a D+. That rather than my C+. If, like I said, if you're not a comic book person, this could be a B+ movie for you. This is like, whoa, this is a really good, damn good movie. For me, I'm a comic book guy. I really like it, but I'm also a film guy, so I tried not to take everything to heart. So it's a C+ for me. But if you don't like comic books, or you've never read it, you'll love this movie. If you're so involved in the comics, like you can't let that go, that connection, you want to see the pages brought to life, you're not going to like this movie. If you're someone like me in the middle, you'll think it's good. Not great, not terrible, good. Will I watch it again besides Sunday when I see it with my family? Probably not, because there's no need to, because after this is Endgame, and what's the need of watching Captain Marvel's origin story again? Like, I've seen it. I know it happens. I've read it before this. There's no need to. Just like I won't watch Homecoming, really. Like, there's certain movies that are good. Not terrible, not great. They're just good, but you don't need to watch them every day. So, C+ movie for me. Good. Not terrible, not great. Go see it, especially if you're an MCU fan. If you're a casual moviegoer, you'll have fun. If you're a diehard comic book guy, I would probably wait until either bootleg or Blu-ray or something like that, because you're not gonna have a good time if you can't cut the tie between the pages and the screen. But other than that, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.